Welcome to Talking Giants, 49ers Cleanup and Mailbag voicemail. Got a lot of voicemails on this podcast. Open it up to Instagram, and Instagram be calling. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick, represented by John Boy Media. Got a decent amount to get to for a mailbag episode, but Justin, how are you doing?
Bobby Skinner, I'm full on in Yankees baseball playoff mode right now. Very excited for that. Pretty big for the company.
Yeah, because the Giants are not making this company any money right now.
No.
No t-shirts, no nothing.
If anybody who is listening to this has any remedies / solutions for mask acne, because I wear a mask all day at work, and around my mouth and on my chin, I'm getting some unfortunate blemishes. If anybody has any solutions for that outside of just washing your face, which I do, please let me know. Leave a 5-star rating in the Apple Podcast app and let me know. Bobby Skinner, how are you? Pretty sad time to be talking about this football team. This isn't the most preferred thing I would want to be doing right now.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Obviously not as demoralized as Sunday night, but some things, to the O-line review, we'll get to all of it.
Do you feel better now that you know that you have zero expectations for this team? Do you feel cleansed now that we got through it? Like, week 2 was my big week where I expected things and then I was let down. And then I think this week everybody also hit that same point. Do you feel better now that you're cleansed and it was almost like a runny poop? You got it out of your system and now you feel
we
like...
are starting this podcast off disgusting. Acne and poop.
And now you feel like you're $1 million.
No, I like winning. I like having hope.
Okay. So the runniness is still happening, unfortunately, for you.
Yeah, I love having hope. So it is what it is. This episode was brought to you by two special people. We got Danny Quintana. I think his last name is Quintana. It's part of his email. Maybe I just doxed that guy. Sorry about your luck, Danny. And then we got Mr. Chicken. I'm not going to say his real name because I know him on Twitter. He's been a loyal supporter. Mr. Chicken. Oh, I won't call him a chicken head. That is derogatory to Mr. Chicken. Who are these people, Justin?
Well, Bobby, if you want to hear us talking acne and talking poop, you can subscribe for $2 a month on patreon.com/talkinggiants, where you get access to live shows. You can see our sadness as we record things, and also you get access to early content while also being entered into a monthly raffle for 2 times a month.
Right. So do that, talkinggiants.com or patreon.com/talkinggiants.
I did the same thing last week.
$2 a month. $2 a freaking month.
You also just support us too. Like that's also a nice thing.
Support the homies. All right, Justin, we'll get to mailbag in a second. Real quick, little housekeeping. Giants announced they've signed running back Alfred Morris, we know him pretty well, and QB Clayton Thorson to the practice squad. Morris, he had 1 carry last year for the Cardinals. In 2018, he had 500-plus yards for the 49ers. And then Thorson was actually a 5th-round pick by the Eagles last year and then spent the season with Jason Garrett on the practice squad with Dallas. Now, this does not bother me. I'm not complaining about this. But I do find it funny that running back practice squad is an old, washed-up guy, and practice squad emergency QB is a young guy and not like a vet. Doesn't that feel a little backwards to you?
Yes, 100%.
I don't care that much because it's the practice squad, and there's 16 slots this year instead of 10. But that does, I don't know, that kind of weirds me out for some reason.
No, you are right. Very unfortunate Alex Tanney did not find his way and just seeped his way back into this race.
I had big time hope when I saw Cooper Rush was cut. Like my eyes lit up and like, oh my gosh, are they actually bringing the greatest of all time, 100 all-time leader in completion percentage, Alex Tanney? But they didn't do that because the Giants are just so blind. Look at what's wrong with this organization. Alex Tanney is that guy. He is like, we need that leader in the film room. All right. Anyways,
Bobby,
let's get to the real stuff.
The last 2 years, Bobby, we are now 0-3 without Alex Tanney, and those are facts.
We've won 2 out of the last 3 games that Alex Tanney was on this roster. I'm just saying.
Come on.
All right. Let's get into the real stuff. Let's take it away, Steve. Thanks, Steve from Blues Clues. Justin, let's get into the mail.
First question is coming from Tim Coffey, who right now is in the Patreon chat. You get to hang out with us and chat with us pre-show, during show, and post-show if you become a Patreon member. But Tim Coffey asked, what week do the Giants announce Kitchens as the passing game coordinator, all in quotes? This is an interesting question, Bobby, and I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
So obviously Tim's having a little fun with that. It's kind of a picking at Jason Garrett. So I went off on Jason Garrett on Monday's show, and I have calmed down, but I also still agree with everything I said. Here's why I've calmed down, Justin, on Jason Garrett. And I talked with our guy, the football grump of, the Just Giants podcast, who's a good friend of ours. Here's why I've calmed down. It is week 3 in this offseason, and I listened to some players talking, and they said this whole not having the offseason, no preseason, only 12 padded practices, whatever, that does affect it. So that is my saving. That is why I will give Garrett time. That's why, as frustrated as I am with Jason Garrett, I will give it time that maybe this offense will open up downfield more. Here's the reason why I'm not disagreeing with what I said on Monday. I went and watched the whole, I went and, put every single route combination and slow motion, once the film came out, Justin. Because I was like, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it was there and Jones just wasn't hitting it. It wasn't. Everything was so shallow. When obviously not everything. There was a few deep concepts, and Jones ended up missed one and didn't throw the other one as he was getting hit too. But nonetheless, the deep stuff isn't there. And Jones actually hit a little bit as the fourth quarter. They were playing a little more too high, so which actually protects against the deep stuff. But we were hitting deep stuff. The first play of the first third down of the game was a deep concept to Golden Tate, but it's just not there. And the reason why I'm not really banking on it's week 3 in this weird offseason and this offense needs time to gel, because it does need time to gel, the players, is that everyone that has covered the Cowboys fans are telling us it's not going to change. That is what scares me, is that everyone in Dallas is saying, you could give it as much time as you want. It's not changing. So that's what worries me, Justin.
Yeah, there's things that you don't need time and more experience and more practice and more familiarity with the system. There are things that the Giants aren't doing right now. There are things that Jason Garrett isn't utilizing right now that, at least in my opinion, and I'm a fan and blah, 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 that at least in my opinion has nothing to do with this particular circumstance of the season. And some of those things are pre-snap motion, lack of pre-snap motion, which helps the quarterback diagnose what's happening before the snap of the ball, and play action, which play action was the only thing that was working from the first 2 weeks of the season consistently on offense, and we ran 3 play action attempts this past Sunday. 4 if you include there was also a penalty, and it was a penalty on the defense. So 3 plays that actually counted. Bobby, why I actually think that Tim's question is interesting, while I don't see it as a realistic thing, and I don't know if we would want to make somebody the passing game coordinator and then Jason Garrett the rushing game coordinator. You do see, and this is mostly on defense, not sure if there's any offensive teams that do it. You would maybe know a little bit better than I do, but you do see some teams on the defensive side of the ball. There is one coordinator and one guy that is calling the passing defense plays. Dallas did this with Marinelli and the guy that was Richard. Thank you. So
LSU did it on offense last year with Joe Brady. He technically wasn't their offense coordinator.
So that's an interesting idea of, if the Giants really want to go that route of having a passing game coordinator and a running game coordinator. Don't know if I would want to make Freddie Kitchens that guy. Shuplinski.
If we want someone that's downfield, it's Freddie Kitchens. He is the exact opposite of Garrett with that. I wonder if Freddie's like, come on, man, won't you just go real deep? Everyone deep on this play. I don't care if it's third and an inch. Everyone go deep. That's my Freddie Kitchens impression. No, what I actually do think could be a realistic option, but probably not realistic because it's the New York Giants. Yeah. Jason Garrett's not Joe Judge's guy. That seemed like an organization's offensive coordinator. You know what I'm saying? Shuplinski is. And a lot of people in Miami thought Shuplinski would get upgraded to offensive coordinator. Do you think it could get bad enough to where Judge fired Garrett and moved up Shuplinski? I don't think that's realistic, but I also, part of me thinks maybe it could be. I can't believe we're doing this after week 3, by the way.
If the Giants are still in the same offensive spot that they are right now in week 12, let's just say, after 2 games of playing the Washington Football Club, what division are we playing in the? If we're playing the Cincinnati Bengals,
the Browns.
and the Browns, who have not had a good defensive start to the season. Joe Burrow has been he's known for being a quarterback that stretches the field, but he's largely been dinking and dunking so far to start the season. He's had some nice plays down throw. He hasn't, you said?
I said he has been.
Oh, he has been. Okay. So if we're even though the schedule is not really going to lighten up, but there are some games where at least the offense should really be able to move the ball somewhat well and be competitive overall. If we're looking at this team still in week 12, sure. I can very much see Jason Garrett being shipped right out of here. Because if you're going to do it at the end of the season, why not give a guy like Shuplinski a shot to take the reins and see what he has?
Yeah. We'll see. Hopefully Garrett does change. I don't have a ton of hope for it, but hopefully he does change. Because I thought I was a little too harsh, man. I went and watched the route combinations, and I feel like I wasn't. And you actually saw stuff happen when the stuff was downfield. And so, speaking of Daniel Jones, we got a couple voicemails.
Do you think Daniel Jones has what it takes to be a franchise quarterback?
Short and sweet, that one. Here's a little longer one.
I don't know where to start or where to begin, but just losing faith in everything. Not that there was much faith to begin with, but, Danny, he's had his moments, but these past 2 games hasn't thrown a passing TD. You could blame the weapons, you could blame the O-line, you could blame the defense, and you could blame pretty much anybody, but, the kid just makes mistakes. He's just not that good of a quarterback, in my opinion. You see showing potential. And last year, I think, even towards the end of the year especially, we really started seeing good offensive games out of him. I don't know, maybe if that was Shermer's doing and now it's not, or what the issue is, but you got give me something to keep my hope in Danny, because that's our franchise QB, whether we like it or not. Got to deal with him for at least 3 more years. Just need some faith.
He said at least 3 more years, so I thought this was going to be like a tank for Trevor guy. He might be the most patient person of all time. Obviously, I have a lot of opinions on Daniel Jones. Justin, I want to hear what your thoughts are.
My thoughts are still the same from Monday, where, if the NFL draft is not tomorrow, and Daniel Jones has very much so earned the right to play out this season and to see how he can grow. It was an extremely difficult start, and I guess this is where you do bring in the hindsight that this is an interesting offseason, an odd offseason, an offseason that basically has never happened before. I guess this is where you can really bring it in when you're talking about the quarterback and when you're talking about how he's dissecting the system. Bobby, really, name me another problem that Daniel, and this is a big problem. This is a very big problem, and this is the reason why a quarterback like Jameis Winston is not a starting NFL quarterback anymore. But Bobby, name me another thing about Daniel Jones's game that really, really worries you and really holds him back besides turning the ball over, which, again, it is a huge part of playing quarterback. Arguably the biggest part about playing quarterback.
Yeah. I agree. And I don't think he's a Jameis guy where it's going to happen forever. Jameis is a careless human being. We've seen that throughout his life. Sometimes that stuff he's been, analyzed from FSU in Tampa, but he is a careless human being. So that's why, playing style, Jameis year 5 and Daniel Jones rookie year and first 3 games of his second season, yes, there's some similarity there. But also, it's I think Jones is going to figure some stuff out. So here's what I'll say. I said on the Monday show that I felt like it was his worst game. The analytics agreed. The analytics agreed with that.
Yeah, we talked about CPOE. It was one of his worst in terms of how the passes that he was expected to complete, Bobby, and the balls that he was expected to make, put balls in catchable spots, he flat out just did not do it this past weekend. Along with a lot of the advanced analytics, they really, really harm you because of turnovers. And put those two things together, you get Daniel Jones's worst game. And I was hesitating on Monday's show saying, was this Daniel Jones's worst game as a pro? I didn't really know, and I kind of shut you down because I was like, I don't really care because we're talking about 2020. It was his worst game as a pro. It was.
Yeah, and I just don't expect him to play as his worst game as a pro going forward. I mean, call me crazy. I just don't expect that. So, like I said, I defend the guy. I still fully believe in him. That was a bad game. He led we'll talk about, there's a wide receiver question in here. One, with the Jason Garrett offense compared with the separation's bad, man. I didn't realize how bad the separation is. Now, I will say this. The offensive line is not as bad as people are making it out to be. It's just, I feel like it's just in Giants fans' nature, just offensive line bad. Now, they have been giving up sacks. I know that sounds silly. But overall, Jones has had time to throw. He's top of the league of literally time to throw, time from snap to throw. Part of that is him hanging in there a little bit. But nonetheless, he's having that time. So he might have some people in his face, but he's had clean platforms to throw the ball. So I don't look at the offensive line as an excuse for Daniel Jones. But the tight window throws, he led the league in those in week 3. He's top 4, I believe, for the season.
His aggression percentage, was that high on NFL Next Gen? I know you looked at that.
Yeah, 25% for week 3.
And that was up there. Okay.
Yeah, that was first.
Literally. I thought you usually see the 30s, so that's strange. So yeah, also if you're listening to this, you're like, what are these guys talking about? Go look on NFL Next Gen stats and look at the glossary of the stats that they have. The charts are really fun too, of just all the spray charts of quarterbacks throwing the ball, wide receivers catching the ball. NFL Next Gen is a really fun site, and it's not difficult to wrap your head around. No. It's very fun. So,
and the stat I'm talking about is tight window throws, aka aggression. Yeah, and that means throws where there's less than a yard of separation. He's 3rd in the NFL for the season on that, 1st in week 3.
And Bobby, the ironic thing about that is, and we'll get to this when we talk about wide receiver separation, typically, and this is typically, the lower depth of target that you run, whether that be as a wide receiver, as an offense as a whole, like Sterling Shepard's average separation in 2019 was a lot larger than it was in 2018, because he was running a lot more intermediate routes, and he wasn't running routes really down the field anymore. Whereas if you're a guy like Darius Slayton and you're constantly running routes down the field and somebody is constantly trailing behind you or to the side of you, your average separation is typically a lot less when you're stretching the field, because you're always going to have that safety over the top or that corner that's just naturally trailing you. But if you're throwing the ball in the intermediate part of the field, you're typically finding space and you're finding spots to sit and catch the football. So that's why it's confusing that the Giants, they're throwing the ball so short this year, yet their separation is less than what Pat Shurmur's was last year.
Because everything's a 5 to 7 yard curl or out route. That's why.
But you would think that there would be more separation if you're targeting so much in the intermediate part of the field.
Because teams only play one safety high. If Slayton has a deep route, they bring the safety over there. I know we're getting kind of nerdy right now. And they can play guys in the box, which helps against the run game. And everything's short, so it actually, playing more people in the box is helping other teams in the pass game. Thank you, Jason Garrett. All right, I'm not going to do a whole Jason Garrett episode. So I'm still very confident in Daniel Jones. And like you said, we have a whole season to evaluate. All right, next question.
Next question comes from Reddit. This one is just for Bobby, not for me. Bobby, what do you think of Hernandez so far? That's Will Hernandez on the offensive line.
He didn't have, he had some bad plays in week 3, like the Javon Kinlaw throwing him to the side. But I also think it is just in Giants fans' nature just to, hate the offensive line. And I get it. It's been bad over the years. But overall, I have been, they are, Daniel Jones is 10th in the league in pressure. He's the most blitzed quarterback. And from week 1, it's been substantially lower. Stop you looking at the PFF numbers, by the way. Pro Football Reference, who I think is a great website, their pressure percentage for Jones is 24%. After week 1, it was like 36. PFF has it at like 48% or like 45%, like almost double what they are very liberal with the way they define a pressure. A lot of that is because the people that they hire to do like the dirty work, people who just like they are learning this stuff on the fly, and there's articles about it. So go with Pro Football Reference's numbers on that. But Hernandez,
there's a reason why for the last 2 years I've always used Pro Football Reference. I've never used PFF's pressures. Really the only thing that I'm now down to using PFF for is their quarterback data. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So I think we got to change our expectations for Hernandez. He's not going to be that Pro Bowl mauler, but he is an above average offensive lineman. And I think that's who he is. My expectations, and I guess it all depends on what your expectations are. My expectations for Will Hernandez is an above average offensive lineman. And I don't think we should be moving on from above average offensive lineman on this Giants team. So he's not going to be that Pro Bowl guy. Give it up. But he also shouldn't be benched for Shane Lemieux. That is frustrating to me. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on him?
Hey, Kevin Zeiler never made a Pro Bowl, yet we view him as a top quality, top 10 guard of the National Football League. But Bobby, the thing that bothers me,
it's not that make a Pro Bowl, but
I got you. But if you're expecting a Zach Martin, rethink your expectations. Bobby, the main thing that gets me about Hernandez, and it's been the same thing since after his rookie year, and I think Baldinger and you probably broke it down in your offensive line report this week. There was a play this past week where Hernandez initially engages with a defensive tackle that's right in front of him. Then he eventually goes to Andrew Thomas. Andrew Thomas is blocking somebody in front of him too. And Will Hernandez has to figure that Nick Gates is going to be going back and he's going to be there to support him as he passes that defensive tackle to him. Instead, it's a free rusher, and I don't know if this play ended up in a sack or it ended up in a QB hurry, a pressure, or what.
I remember that play.
The thing that gets me about Will Hernandez is you don't look at Will Hernandez and get frustrated by something that he does physically. He does everything almost right physically. Sure, you're going to lean every once in a while, but everything is just mental with him. You know, he just let a guy go, and he had to figure that Nick Gates was going to be passing along and he was going to be right there to pick him up. You don't just, all right, I'm engaging with my guy at the snap of the ball, then I'm just going to let him go. It has to be mental, and we're in year 3, and we are still having mental errors that are costing this team, and that's the thing that gets me, because it's nothing on the physical end.
But at the same time, him and Thomas, week 1 and week 2, I was extremely, one of the most impressive things of this offensive line is the way they have picked up stunts. So maybe it's in me that I just can't react like crazy to one, when the run play where Kinlaw throws him off is really bad. It's a really bad play, but I just don't have it into me to look at one really bad play and lose my mind. I guess it's the way you're the way people are. I just can't look at it and say that one play deserves to be benched. You know what I'm saying?
No, and I don't. I guess Will Hernandez is too talented physically to be on the bench, and Shane Lemieux in year 1 with limited training camp is not going to be better mentally. He's not going to be better mentally than Will Hernandez is right now. But Bobby, it gets frustrating to see Will Hernandez has a guy engaged and then he just lets him go because he thinks somebody is going to be there to cover his ass and nobody's there. It's frustrating, and it's mental, and that's very frustrating. Yeah. So
I'll be honest, I feel good about the mental stuff so far. Yes, there has been a couple mistakes, but I have felt good. So I just feel like, like I said, he's not going to be an all-pro Pro Bowl guard. He's just not. That's not who he is. He's an above-average guard. Right. Now, if we pay him like an all-pro, then we can be bothered. But I don't think that's going to happen. Yeah. And one other thing. Stop blaming Nick Gates. Nick Gates has been a bright spot to this offensive line. You know what? He gained us 23 yards. That snap, when they jumped, he immediately snapped it. He gained us 23 yards. Not Daniel Jones' back shoulder to Darius Slayton. Nick Gates gained us those 23 yards. And he has been a bright spot. He has been a bright spot on the offensive line. He's been smart. Pittsburgh was bad. But I keep on reminding people, Spencer Pulley was worse against the New York dumpster fire Jets than Nick Gates was at his first game at center versus the Pittsburgh freaking Steelers.
Good radio right there. New York dumpster fire Jets. I didn't catch that initially that he snapped the ball when I guess the rest of the offense may have not been ready, because that's good. That's really good center IQ there.
When's the last time a Giants center did that?
Yeah, you would think that it would take a pretty experienced center, even a guy that maybe, snapped the ball throughout high school, college, whatever. That's an experienced high IQ center move right there, to have the awareness that a guy jumped off sides or, did had a encroachment, whatever, snapping the ball to give your offense a free play. And it resulted in one of the 2 or 3 20-plus yard offensive plays of the entire game.
Yep. Thank you, Nick Gates. I've been very proud of you. Now, if they want to go out and get someone who they think is a better center in free agency or the draft, by all means, I'm always up for an upgrade. But yeah. I have been pleased with Nick Gates so far. All right. We got a voicemail from Zach Mahoney.
Hey, how you guys doing? This is Zach from Virginia. I had a question regarding wide receivers and getting separation. So Justin had put something out talking about assigning blame, waiting to do it, because it's a team sport and everyone plays their part. So my specific question is, would you rather have a wide receiver that gets separation with potential drops, or would you rather have a wide receiver that has solid hands but no separation? So I'm looking at like a Barrett Dillon versus a Golden Tate. What are your guys' thoughts? Thanks.
I'm going to change up his question a little bit. Not like a guy who has drops. Would you rather have a wide receiver who's getting separation or a guy who's going to go up and get like jump balls and make like crazy catches on the sidelines?
Are we talking about on this football team right now, or are we just talking about in general?
Like if the Giants were to go and get a wide receiver in 2020 and you had the same, like they're both really good, like you grade them the same. Would you rather have, the Tyreek Hill type, or I don't want to say Calvin Johnson because he's just all time, he's great at everything. You know what I'm saying? Would you rather have the guy who is just going to have blazing speed and be like Odell versus like a Julio Jones? How about that? Actually, that's a bad one because Julio Jones does everything. All right, just answer his question. Actually, never mind. I'm doing a bad job with this.
I think people are picking up what you're putting down. Man, whenever Darius Slayton has had an opportunity to be good, right? Whenever he has had that opportunity to be that deep play guy, he has showed up consistently, having a 50%, and I'm probably remembering this correctly off the top of my head, having a 57% catch rate from your rookie year while averaging over 15 yards per catch and having 5+ touchdown receptions of over 20+ yards. Plus, I think, at this point, maybe he has, does he have 9 touchdown receptions, Bobby? Because he has 1 on the year. So he has 6. He has 2 on the year. All right, so he has 6 of his 10 touchdown catches have been for over 20 yards. So I'm not going to say for this football team right now that the Giants absolutely need to get a bigger-bodied wide receiver that can catch balls down the field, because while Darius Slayton, he's not Julio, and he's not Calvin Johnson, right? He's serving that role. But, Bobby, Golden Tate, I'm sorry, for the money that he's getting, he is not serviceable enough. He is not consistent and reliable enough for me. And Sterling Shepard just isn't on the football field. So the main priority for me right now, and if you can draft a guy or if you can sign a guy that can do it all, if you can somehow get a Jamar Chase or if you could somehow get an Allen Robinson, you will not hear me complain. But if we want to stick with this overall philosophy of finding guys that fit a certain role and fit a certain mold, I would much rather have a guy that's more efficient and better in the middle part of the field and the shorter part of the field than a deep guy as of right now. But we need a lot of help. We need a lot of help at wide receiver.
No, I agree 100%. Now, like Jamar Chase, he does he's on another level,
Yeah,
but
Allen Robinson does everything.
Right, but if we're looking at that Wake Forest wide receiver, I know I can't remember his name, but we talked about him a little bit in the offseason. Like someone like that, I'm all for, man. We need some easy stuff for Jones. Brandon Moore is the guy out of Purdue, not Wake Forest. Wake Forest's Sage Surratt, Chaz Surratt's brother. We need some easy stuff. Nothing is like it's never easy. You know what I'm saying? It's always like what we're asking for right now to Garrett's offense is to let Jones throw the ball and be extremely accurate downfield. That's what we're asking right now, because it's not like we're scheming guys wide ass open like we're the Chiefs. Like, that's what we're asking out of Daniel Jones, is to be extremely accurate down the field and make tight throws, because that's what we're at right now. It's like, if we're gonna make tight throws, we might as well make them down the field. So yeah, I agree. The separation to me, and football is nuance, but if you're like, choose separation or jump ball ability, I'm just choosing separation, because I'd rather just be wide open than you to make a crazy play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but also the thing is now we're talking about getting separation in the intermediate part of the field, maybe less than 20 yards, less than 20 plus yards down the field. When you're throwing 20 plus yards down the field, that's when you're arcing a ball, and you need to have arm strength when you're throwing it less than 20 yards too. But it's not considered a deep ball, a quote unquote deep ball, when you're throwing it less than 20 yards. But the thing that we need on this offense right now is to expand the field. But also, it's a matter of Jason Garrett is not even allowing us to expand the field. And when we did expand the field, it resulted in a Darius Slayton 41-yard touchdown. So Zach talked about, this is an awesome question, by the way. Zach talked about separation, wide receiver separation. So I sat down for 30 seconds today and I pulled this up together. I looked at all of our main targets, the average separation from 2019, and then the accumulation average separation in 2020 so far, 3 weeks in. The only wide receiver that has more of an average separation in 2020 compared to 2019 is Golden Tate. But also, Golden Tate's average depth of target is about 3 yards less than it was in 2019. So that goes along with my point that I was saying earlier in the show, where typically, if you have less of an average depth of target, you are typically going to have more separation. So Golden Tate is actually better. Somewhat better. He's pretty good. I would like to see it closer to 3. His average separation is 2.5 right now. But Evan Ingram is down from around a third of a yard. Sterling Shepard is more than that. So these guys, they're not stretching the field as much as Pat Shurmur was, yet the average separation is pretty much very substantially lower.
It's not good. It's not good. All right, next one, we got a voicemail and a mailbag question all in one.
What's up, guys? Thought I would just call in really quickly and ask, looking at the team, obviously at 0-3 now, and I know it's already crazy to think, but the draft coming up, I guess going into the offseason, what I want to know is, who are your keeps and who are your cuts for the team? Who are the guys you think we need to shop, get rid of immediately, trade, do whatever with, and who are the guys, we think we got to give them a chance, we got to let them grow, because, they could be potentially, starters and or, talented guys down the line. So thought that I'd ask that question and see what you guys think is going to happen going forward. But thanks again.
All right, and there's a mailbag to go with that.
Yeah, so enter name here at enter name here 33. Who are players besides Evan Ingram that you guys would like to trade at the deadline for picks?
You asked me, are you on the trade Evan Ingram train?
Yes, but I'm also very doubtful on what you can get back for him. Very, very doubtful. You've never been lower on Evan Ingram's performance as a whole. If the screw in his foot is not affecting his athleticism, which a lot of fans forget that, and a lot of people forget that Evan Ingram is currently playing with the screw in his foot right now. And it was everybody that was actually in the fantasy community that reminded me that this summer. That's like, oh, yeah, Evan Ingram, he's definitely playing with this. He's definitely playing with this thing that probably is impacting his game. And sooner or later, it's going to probably impact his ability to stay healthy and play. But I have more hope for Evan Ingram turning it around with the Giants this year than I have hope for a team giving up anything more than a 5th-round pick for him.
Would you take a 5th-round pick in the offseason?
In the offseason, yeah, because then you're talking about, if you trade him during the season next year, he has less value, because then he doesn't even have a full year with the team.
Yeah.
Because it's his final year.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm tired of him. He's caused mistakes. He's been bad. I thought they were really going to use him like a slot receiver this past week. They clearly don't view him as that.
No, what his snap share was still around 90%, and Caden Smith, after first series of the game, he caught a 13-down catch, just played less than 50% of the snaps, which I don't see a reason why that's happening when, Bobby, one of the running plays that you broke down this week partially fell apart because Evan Ingram got his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Why are we putting him in? We should know better by, first of all, we should have known better before the start of the season, but we should know better after 2 games of him costing a lot of plays in the run game. We should know better by now to not put him in that situation.
Yeah, I agree. Dalvin Tomlinson. I like Dalvin Tomlinson, but we've probably said this if there's one thing we've repeated over and over again on this podcast this past year, is that there's no reason for us to have this surplus of defensive tackles. Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence should be getting the majority of snaps, and BJ Hill's as good of a third defensive tackle as you can get. You know what I'm saying? Like, BJ Hill's productive for as little reps as he gets. You know, and this goes back to why the Leonard Williams trade is kind of weird. Although Leonard Williams has been balling this year.
Yeah. Is it? Here's a mailbag question that I'm asking: is it too early for me to celebrate? Because that's the one player. That's the one player that I said was going to be good. Is it too early for me to or is it inappropriate for me to celebrate that Leonard Williams is balling out this year? Is it?
No. The thing is we can't really celebrate anything right now because of how the state of this team.
Stay tuned for my
every time he does
analytics.
make a good sack, I love it. He's on pace for like 10 plus. He's on pace for over 10 sacks this season. How about that? That's an on pace stat for you.
But Bobby, I think he's going to get close because not only is he getting the sacks, he's still getting the consistent pressure. But stay tuned for my Talking Analytics blog this week. I'll be writing some good things about Leonard Williams. I'll be taking a little mini victory lap.
But we're on the page that we shouldn't be paying 3 defensive tackles, which is what we'll have to do with Dalvin in the offseason. So if we can get something for him, trade him, right?
Bobby, here's also the thing. Here's what we said during his PPP. Here's what we said during the training camp and during the summer. If you were listening to us, Dalvin Tomlinson is getting around maybe even a little bit. Now, I think he's getting a little bit more than 50% of the snaps. Now, number one, you can make the argument that he's too talented to be getting only 50% of the snaps, but also you cannot pay a guy big money, and it sucks because he has the C on his jersey, which low-key partially scares me. Now, I understand you don't have Dave Gettleman and you don't have John Mara putting the C on somebody's shirt. It's the locker room that decides that. And Landon Collins was also a captain, too, and, we didn't sign him.
Captain's overrated. Can I just say it? Captain is so overrated. It's cool. Nice, cool.
But
I mean,
easily...
If Dalvin Tomlinson's gone, the last thing I'm thinking about is his leadership in the locker room.
No, but I'm thinking about, is that a thing? It's probably not a thing in the Giants' brass's head that we need to sign this guy because we put a C on a shirt. I started to say that point, and then I realized it was dumb. But I could easily see B.J. Hill getting 50% of the snaps in this defensive line rotation, or if anything, Dalvin Tomlinson being traded away is allowing Dexter Lawrence to be on the field more. Leonard Williams is already getting 65 to 70% of the snaps, and I'm fine with that. He's a big boy. He needs a break. He needs a breather. But Dexter Lawrence's snap share and his snap count should be around 65 to 70%. It should be around the same as Leonard Williams. Those two guys should be the two mainstays of this defensive front. So if that requires BJ Hill to get 50% of the snaps, I am totally cool, and I actually think that we would get something pretty substantial for a guy like Dalvin Tomlinson. I think we would.
All right, now here's a tough one. Kevin Zeiler. He had some struggles this past week. Pittsburgh was his worst game, probably as a pro, definitely as a Giant. Week 2 was good. Shane Lemieux is someone we do like down the pipes. Kevin Zeiler probably could get the highest compensation.
Yeah, the contract is tough. But if you're a competitor who needs a guard, I mean, if you're, I know the Dallas Cowboys aren't desperate for guards right now, but they're desperate for tackles. But if you're a team that you feel like you can win now and you're a guard away from feeling like you can really compete, Kevin Zeiler would be an awesome piece. So we can even do this little mosh posh thing of,
I wish we'd have kept Mike Remmers, man. He really would have been an upgrade over Cam Fleming.
He was a right guard last night, and he actually was I saw him pull on a play, and he opened up a hole for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Why are they pronouncing his name that way, by the way?
It's Hilaire.
It's Hilaire. They're pronouncing it Helaire.
No, but it's without an H, but it's also not Elaire. It's Hilaire. Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Very weird on the Monday Night Football telecast, but he was opening up some holes. But we could do this mosh posh thing if we decide to trade Kevin Zeitler of Spencer Pulley at center, Nick Gates moves to guard. We could do that.
No, that's useless. Just put Shane Lemieux in. Shane Lemieux will be better at guard than Spencer Pulley will be at center. Now, like I said, if you want to go get a center in the offseason and then put Nick Gates at guard, then that's something. But I would do Shane Lemieux early, even though Shane Lemieux would have struggles.
I have a question.
Go for it.
If Kevin Zeitler makes it through the season, do you think he could be a cap casualty?
If they believe in Shane Lemieux, if you truly believe in Shane Lemieux, if you don't, then don't do it. It's not worth the cap space. No. Don't hurt this offensive line for cap space. It has to be simply because somehow Lemieux got in, whether it's injuries or whatnot, and you believe in him. But I refuse to weaken this offensive line just for cap space, unless you're going to go out and sign a better guard.
Yeah,
or a similar guard with less money. So, yeah, no, please no. All right.
All right. How about this? Okay. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
Because anybody could be on the table, really. Logan Ryan has played well, and he's made impact plays, and he didn't even have a full summer. Jabril Peppers.
Yeah, but that would mean we're re-signing Logan Ryan to a big deal after the year.
Yeah, I don't know if they would even do that, but you could easily look at Logan Ryan's production and also some safeties across the National Football League, Bobby. They're balling out. Chin has had a really good start to the year. Our boy Antoine Winfield
Jr., my guy.
Has had a pretty
McKinney's
solid start
too. I forget McKinney's on this freaking team.
McKinney is on this team. Love is on this team for the next few years. So
McKinney makes me be open to that, even though I love Peppers. It's been a slow start, but I do love Peppers.
Yeah, and it's a matter of another guy that only has one more year left on his rookie deal post this year. So if these guys aren't making impact plays for your defense, which Jabril Peppers does, and that's the frustrating thing, we just don't see it enough, then I don't think you could stick with them long term. I don't think you can.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. We have 3 voicemails, but they're all kind of asking the same thing. Let's play them.
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Chris. I actually been a fan of you guys for quite some time. I actually do Giants videos as well. I've been booked for Hit Squad 96. We're in the same boat. I do think that the rest of the year is just about evaluation. I'm really disappointed with how the Giants have been playing. My question to you guys is do you think, the Giants go and get Daniel Jones some help? I doubt it. I think it's not really likely, but I think this man needs some help. I'm not saying go get Thielen, but at least, call up a couple players from the practice squad, bring back Alonzo Russell, something. Anyway, thank you so much. Hope I can see this in a video sometime. Have a great one. Bye.
Alonzo Russell sighting. I like that. All right, let's play your next one.
Hey, Talking Giants. This is Scott. I remember I did a voicemail, I think a month back. It was a little before the season. But anyway, my biggest question is, even though it's early in the season, do you think the offense or defense, or how about this? I'll say this instead. Do you think Dave Gettleman will use a draft pick, or is Gettleman's there? But do you think Gettleman will use a first-round draft pick on an offensive player or a defensive player next year?
And then the last one from Joe in Rochester.
My name is Joe. I'm calling from Rochester. First time, long time. Just wanted to say that, it's been really hard. I'm not angry. I'm a devout Giants fan, but it just is increasingly frustrating to watch this team. Just year after year, we fall for the same kind of line that the Giants are in rebuild mode, and they may be in rebuild mode, but it doesn't erase the pain of the last few years. Still love Joe Judge. Still think he may be the right coach for this team. My question is more of a statement. I think Giants fans are just really frustrated right now about the direction. With Saquon hurt, do we trade him? Is Daniel Jones the guy? Even if we brought in Trevor Lawrence, which I'm not on the Trevor Lawrence train, even if we brought him in, he still doesn't have all of the weapons that we need. So I'm more of a, if we get the first pick, do we trade him for a bunch of weapons or get, the LSU wide receiver? So what's your guys' take on what we do at the end of this year? Or where do you see us going in the future? Thanks.
All right. Go for it.
Two things. Joe from Rochester. I love when people drop the first time, long time. And second of all, I love how he also dropped the "I'm not mad, I'm disappointed" line. He said, "I'm not angry. I'm not angry, but." So I love how he dropped that.
I told Instagram, hey, if you're going to be mad, just don't curse. And, so I think that's what he was referring to.
He's not angry. He's just really disappointed.
A few longtime supporters in there. I appreciate all you guys are calling. So basically, we'll turn this all into one question, Justin. Do you go for the defensive playmaker or the offensive playmaker? Let's just assume we're keeping Jones and we're picking third or fourth. Are you going for the offensive tackle, wide receiver, or are you going defensive end, linebacker, corner? I mean, what do you and free agency? What are you looking to improve? Because I'll say we have let's assume we're keeping Daniel Jones. I want to put everything around Daniel Jones to succeed, so I'm going offense. Whether you go Sewell or go Jamar Chase or whoever ends up setting themselves apart. I would go LSU wide receiver Jamar Chase just because I think the line has been capable, and you see good teams don't have the greatest offensive lines, so I think they've been capable. Where was I going with that? Oh, and then if you move on from Jones the next year, you have more pieces around whatever new QB you had. So I mean, what about you? I know this. We just put three minutes of voicemails into one short question.
2020 Giants take Andrew Thomas. 2019 they take Daniel Jones with their first pick. 2018 they take running back. 2017 they take Evan Ingram. And then 2016 they took Eli Apple. Yes, Dexter Lawrence and DeAndre Baker were first round picks in 2019. But Bobby, if you want to have the point of I want to surround Daniel Jones with the best players, then I don't know. I mean, if Jamar Chase is there, then yeah, you do it because you feel like he can be a guy that can rock and roll maybe year one. But go out and give Allen Robinson a blank check.
I agree.
Really, because if we're talking about giving Daniel Jones a guy and a dude and someone who's ready to rock and roll from day one, who doesn't need to adjust to the speed of the game in the NFL and doesn't maybe need a year or two to get up to speed, because running back is usually a position that you can really jump in and be ready to go. But you don't really see that with wide receiver in terms of those skill positions. So I'm kind of ready if we have that pick and we have a top 5 pick and Rousseau is sitting there and Micah Parsons is sitting there and one of those crazy defensive athletes where I really feel like if we spend some money and spend it smart, where I think giving Allen Robinson a blank check is not a terrible decision because the dude has been superb with one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks in the NFL, and I'm going to be very interested to see how he does with Nick Foles now. Nick Foles isn't great, but it's better than Mitchell Trubisky, so I'm going to be very interested to see how that connection is. Allen Robinson had his best game last week with Nick Foles at quarterback, go figure. So, Bobby, I want proven guys on offense. I don't, in terms of our skill position guys, if we really want Daniel Jones to succeed, let's get guys that are ready to rock and roll day one, spending in free agency, and then I would be totally cool spending, the rest of the NFL draft, drafting maybe around the offense and drafting whatever needs we have. But give me in the first round, if there's a defensive stud, which we've covered those defensive studs, that really does entice me.
Yeah. Sign Allen Robinson, draft Penei Sewell, and then get Chester out in the second round.
That'd be insane.
I'm a big believer if you build around your court, like you you do everything to help your quarterback succeed. We see the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense has been good, but it also like that offense puts them in good positions. They definitely have playmakers on that defense, but their offense, like if their offense isn't their offense, we don't talk about the Chiefs defense at all.
That's very analytically advanced of you to just completely ignore defense.
Not ignore
I kind of
defense,
like it,
but I don't think we've ignored
like
defense. I think we signed Bradbury, we signed Blake Martinez, we've got Leonard Williams. You got we have put effort into this defense.
Bobby.
Now there has to be a cornerback too, but I also you said something, and I'm all on it. Stop drafting corners. Just sign the best ones in free agency every year. Trade for them and sign the best ones. I am so done. If there's one position I'm scarred at, it's drafting corners. So
spend 20. The Giants clearly just can't draft corners, so just spend 25% of your cap space allocated to cornerback 1 and cornerback 2.
Seriously, I don't think it's crazy.
But Bobby, I mean, how cool would it be to have? Hey, clearly Lorenzo Carter's is here and he's doing something and they like him. How cool would it be to add a Rousseau on the other side of that offensive line?
I'm also not completely sold on Rousseau or Parsons, to be honest.
But just as of right now, how cool would it be to add Micah Parsons to the other side of Blake Martinez? And there goes all those concerns that we have about Devontae Downs and who cares about Ryan Conley. All that goes out the window, and that would be just so fun. That's a fun defense.
Chaz Surratt is the perfect linebacker to go next to Blake Martinez. He's the perfect linebacker. So we'll do that. All right, last mailbag question, and then we got a couple more voicemails.
Wait. Can I just say this? What day is it?
Tuesday night.
September 30th. I just talked about the NFL draft and how excited I am. All right, I'm sorry.
That's what our 2021 draft previews in the offseason did. They made us a little more informed on 24 guys.
I hate my life. I hate my life that I just got so excited about the NFL draft. September 30th. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, last mailbag question. You got it.
Oh, we don't have another voicemail.
No, we'll do the voicemails last.
Oh, got it. Oh, that's right. We have some interesting ones. From our friend Tauzino at Red Yeti 9 looks at Dave Gettleman in brackets. That's the caption. And then the GIF is Kelly from The Office saying, I have a lot of questions. First, how dare you?
She is an underrated character. Like when she's just says, she's like, I've been sexually assaulted. It's like, you cannot do that every time something you want to get out of a situation. Or when she fakes, but she's an underrated character.
She was in The Office with Michael, and are you gonna fire me? And he's like, no, I'm just gonna really yell at you for a couple minutes. So can you cry? And then she just immediately cries.
There's a lot of people in the world like Kelly. All right, got a couple voicemails.
Hey, Talking Giants. This is Matthew from Atlanta. Been a Giants fan my whole life. Can't really think of many losses that have been worse than this one. Only thing I can really think that comes to my mind when I think about this loss is pee pee poo poo.
So all that comes is poop pee pee poo poo. That's a thank you, Matthew from Atlanta. All that comes to his mind is pee pee poo poo.
It's funny. I talked about poop at the beginning of the show, so we're really coming full circle.
Pee pee poo poo. I'm gonna put that in the bullet points for the episode. Be like, Jason Garrett's offense, Daniel Jones. What could the Giants need? Pee pee poo poo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. All right, last voicemail.
If you were to say that Patrick Mahomes will be a Trevor Lawrence type player, if they're both considered the same person, I'm gay.
So he said, if you didn't catch that, he said, if you were to say that Patrick Mahomes will be a Trevor Lawrence type player, if they're both the same person, I'm gay. That is his call. I don't know who that was. He didn't leave his name, and he called from a star 67, so he's a coward. Get these cowards off my phone line.
I was gonna actually ask you, do you want to get full on?
He's not gay though, because they're nowhere near the same player. So I'll say that.
Do you want to get on full on Lance Meadow right now and Like, thank you for disrupting my program, and thank you. And
that
you
guy
must
is the scum on the side of my lip. You have nothing better to do with your day than call my line and do that. But he's not gay because they're not the same player.
Just get really mad and frustrated that somebody. I'm actually very happy that we are now consistently getting prank calls.
I said,
very
just
happy.
Don't curse, and say the other F word, and we'll put you on the show. And if you do that, you will be part of the after show Patreon voicemail episode. So if you want to do that, then do that. Then our Patreon members are gonna be sending like the most crazy stuff to see our reaction.
Oh, you wanna read you wanna do the B word of the week?
No, I already mocked him
a
once
tweet.
big time today.
I have a tweet. I'm not gonna say who it's from, but you're gonna guess in the way that I'm gonna read it. Andrew Thomas has allowed 13 pressures. That's the second worst in football.
Oh my god!
As I stated many times, I wouldn't have him day one at left tackle, especially with no preseason, because of the potential of his confidence being hurt/ruined from a bad start to his career.
Oh my gosh!
Do you know who that is?
Yes, I know who that is.
Yes, I know who that is.
Was it in like 7 different lines? We're on. This is the day we are mocking people because we know that our diehards are only our diehards are listening to our 49ers cleanup and mailbag episode.
Yeah, no, our numbers are down.
And
our numbers are bad. Listening
this far into the podcast, so I just felt like I needed to mock somebody today. I just planned on making that video to send to you as a joke, and I was like, this is too good to not post.
It's
all right,
because
that's an episode.
No, hold on. Whenever you text me, should I post this? Should I not post this? Because I'm your conscience. Whenever you text me and I don't respond to you within like 3 minutes, you post it. That's like your A-okay. I was driving home and I saw that you texted me and I said should I? And you said should I post this? I'm like, damn. If I don't respond, if I don't park my car within the next couple minutes and I don't watch this video, I know he's gonna tweet it. And then he's like, and then Bobby texted me 2 minutes later. Is like, I did it.
Oh man, like that. Like I had no intentions of shooting the bear video last weekend, but you said why not? And I was like, okay, tweeting it. I'm tweeting it and putting it on. People woke up to that. People wake up and scroll Instagram, and they woke up to a bear being shot. And we will be posting a video of a ram being shot for your Sunday morning Instagram scroll and Twitter. And people will get mad, but you know what? It's funny. It's worth it. It's worth a few people getting mad to make a laugh. We're not the ones who are killing these animals. We're just sharing the videos. I don't even like it. I don't even like seeing these animals being shot. I'm actually not a big fan of game hunting. I'm not going to tell you you're wrong, but I'm not a fan of game hunting. Boy, we're just getting into it. It's a freaking Wednesday episode. But I do think it's funny to make fun of stuff. I believe in making fun of everything is what I'm saying.
Especially stupid people who also do similar things that we do with the Giants.
Buffoons. All right, that's an episode. We will see you guys on Friday for our preview. Until then, we suck, but let's go Big Blue.